She don't know this shit going down. And I like this shit went on for like 7 months that I didn't know about. So they come motherfucking, I'm on my way to go pick up my little boy so we can go get haircuts and shit. So I had already just felt like, you know how you just have a feeling like it's just something wrong with you don't know? Like, and I'm when I go through shit like that, like I'm in a feeling, my granddad always told me just pray about it. Pray about her. So I ain't really just too much bothered by it. So I just like feel like something wrong like that day. Like I can eat like, and it go back to like a couple days before that. Nigga, I thought my girl put a private investigator on me or something. I just kept seeing the same cars. I was like, hey man, if you got somebody following me or y'all following, you better let me know now because I'm finna jump out the car. I'm finna shoot this bitch up.
Yella Beezy is facing the possibility of spending the rest of his life behind bars over the death of Mo 3, after prosecutors moved to use his own songs as evidence against him. This could mark the permanent downfall of one of Dallas rap's biggest stars. In July 2026, Maris Conway sat in a Dallas County courtroom while lawyers argued about his music. His attorneys wanted 4 of his songs kept away from the jury: Keep It in the Streets, On Ya Head, Take 3, and Gassed Up. Prosecutors listed all 4 in an amended notice filed in February 2026, saying the lyrics are tied to a feud that ended with a man dead on a freeway at noon. That man was Melvin Noble. Dallas knew him as Mo 3, shot on Interstate 35E on November 11, 2020, in the middle of the day, in front of traffic. Conway isn't accused of pulling the trigger. He's accused of paying for it. The charge is capital murder for remuneration, arranging a killing and paying, or promising to pay, the person who carries it out. It's the top charge in Texas, and a conviction carries life without parole. He's pleaded not guilty. Here's why the songs matter so much. The state doesn't have to place Conway on that freeway or put a gun in his hand. It has to show a jury a reason, and it has to show money moved. There's no confession here, no video of him ordering anything. So prosecutors went looking for the reason in the only place these 2 men ever actually spoke to each other in public: interviews, social media, and their music. 2 of the 4 songs allegedly turned up inside text messages Conway sent to a co-defendant on the day Mo 3 was killed. The other 2, released months before the shooting, are being read by prosecutors as a roadmap. Bars about bounties, about handling somebody, about not letting anything slide. To understand how 4 song titles ended up in a murder file, you have to go back to when both these men were still climbing. Mo 3 came out of Dallas with a voice that sounded like it had been dragged through something, singing as much as he rapped, and the pain in his records made people trust him. His biggest moment came through a remix of Everybody alongside Boosie Badazz, who treated him like a little brother. By the end, he had over 800,000 Instagram followers and a following that stretched well past Texas. Yella came out of that same soil, breaking through in 2017 with That's On Me, the kind of record that becomes furniture in barbershops and car washes until it's just part of the city. He followed it with a national radio hit alongside Quavo and Gucci Mane, 2 men from the same streets, both eating. For a while, it looked like that might actually be the story. But Dallas keeps score. There's a long-running argument in that city about who really represents which neighborhood. Both artists were chasing the same audience and the same piece of the city's identity, and in hip-hop, that overlap alone is usually enough to raise the temperature. None of it was headline material yet. It lived in group chats and songs where nobody says a name. Quiet, coded, deniable. Then a comedian got involved. Roy Pate had his own following in Dallas, known for roasting people online and close to Mo 3. He publicly questioned whether Yella actually came from Oak Cliff the way he claimed, and in a city where that question carries real weight, mockery like that lands harder than any diss track. Then, in early October 2018, Roy Pate was shot in North Dallas. He held on for days before a blood clot took him, dying October 13, 2018. Everything before that death reads like competition between artists. Everything after it reads like something else entirely. Mo 3 responded the only way a rapper can, with music that didn't sound like entertainment so much as a man in mourning who'd already made up his mind about something. He never said a name. He didn't have to. Dallas heard it. Years later, prosecutors would say they heard it too. Within roughly a day of Pate's death, the street answered back. Yella was driving on a tollway in Louisville when a car pulled alongside him and opened fire. He was shot 3 times and survived, released from the hospital after a single day. The timing was impossible for the city to ignore. A man mocks you, that man dies, you get shot the next day. Nobody was ever charged in that tollway shooting. For years, it sat in the file as an unsolved attack. It would matter enormously later. Publicly, both men denied any of it was real. In a 2019 interview, Mo3 was asked directly about the shooting everyone assumed was tied to his rival, and he brushed it off. "No, I ain't got no rap beef with nobody," blaming the internet for manufacturing a war out of nothing. Yella played the same game from his side, acting like Mo3 barely registered. 2 men insisting nothing was happening, while the body count around them said otherwise. Then, in January 2020, the fiction cracked for real. Mo3's manager, Brandon Rainwater, said he was jumped outside a Dallas strip club by Yella and a group of associates, coming out of it with a dislocated hip. He sued. Years later, a civil jury found that Conway had assaulted him, the first time a court, rather than a comment section, had connected Yella's hands to violence in Mo3's world. That verdict landed 10 months before the freeway. November 11, 2020, was an ordinary Wednesday. Mo3 was driving north on I-35E, just south of the Dallas Zoo, in the flat middle of the day. Behind him, a Kroger 18-wheeler happened to be rolling by with a dashboard camera running. Nobody planned that, but because of it, the next 90 seconds exist on tape. A prosecutor later played that footage in court, stopping it to show a gold sedan and a black sedan moving in the left lanes. The gold sedan carried Mo3. The black sedan, according to the state, carried Kawan White. The prosecutor let it run, then stopped it again and told the judge one sentence that has hung over this case ever since: the victim does not come back into the frame. In between, the black sedan pulled close. A man stepped out holding a gun, and Mo3 did the thing that has never stopped bothering anyone who's watched the tape. He got out and ran down an active interstate with cars still moving around him. He was chased down and shot repeatedly. A woman in a nearby vehicle was struck by gunfire that had nothing to do with her and survived. Mo3 was pronounced dead at the hospital. He was 28, in the best run of his career, killed in daylight while strangers watched through their windshields. Kawan White was identified and charged as the shooter, later sentenced in 2022 to 105 months in federal prison on a separate gun charge, while the murder case sat behind it. Devin Brown was indicted too, tied by prosecutors to the planning side rather than the trigger. To the state, this wasn't a moment of temper on a highway. Someone had to know exactly where Mo3 would be. Someone had to be positioned in traffic ahead of time. That's planning. And planning is what turns a killing into a murder for hire. Then the case went quiet. Not closed, quiet. 4 years passed with a dead rapper, a charged shooter, and a city that had already decided who it thought was responsible, with nothing official to back it up. Investigators kept working what nobody could see: phone records, financial records, social media, because witnesses wouldn't come forward. A detective would later testify that investigators had to trace the shape of the entire feud through lyrics, posts, and interviews, simply because nobody would talk. On March 18, 2025, a Dallas County grand jury indicted Conway. Mo3's mother posted 4 words on Facebook that captured what much of Dallas had waited years to feel: "Justice for my baby." Which brings it back to that courtroom and the fight over what a jury actually gets to hear. Prosecutor Rick Vela argued the killing didn't fall out of the sky, and that the chosen songs line up precisely with the crime on the indictment. Defense attorney Michael Mola countered that a working artist can't be punished for the content of his art, calling expert witness Dr. Eric Nielsen to testify that gangster rap runs on invented characters and exaggeration, and that jurors read rap far more literally than any other genre. Prosecutors answered with a Dallas homicide detective who put it plainly: lyrics are never where a murder investigation starts. They're where it ends up when nobody will talk. As of the most recent hearings, the judge hasn't ruled. She can throw the songs out entirely, let pieces in with jury instructions, or open the gate and let prosecutors play all of it. None of the 4 songs mention Mo3 by name. That's the gap the state has to close, and it's the gap the defense is standing in. Right now, Yella hasn't been sentenced, convicted, or tried. He's at home in Dallas on an ankle monitor, $750,000 bond posted, a not guilty plea on the record, and a jury trial set for August 24, 2026. If convicted of capital murder for remuneration, there's no sliding scale. The sentence is life without parole, and he'd be 34 years old walking into a Texas prison he'd never walk out of. If the judge keeps the songs out, the state loses the clearest window it has into motive, and a case built on old messages and reluctant witnesses gets a lot harder to sell to 12 people. So the answer everybody's chasing doesn't exist yet. One courtroom in Dallas is about to decide whether a man's music becomes the evidence that buries him. That's where the goodbye lives, not behind him, but ahead of him.